Welcome to the Wise Words Behind the Wins, where I talk to founders and business owners about the wise words they run their life and business by. And today I'm excited to be joined by Miranda Birch from the Richest Conversations. Hi, Miranda.
Hello.
So I'm really interested to hear about, first of all, how you came up with that name, because I love the Richest Conversations. I just think it's so powerful to say it that way. It's simple but powerful. And what you do and how you help people. Yeah, and how your background fed into the business that you run today.
So just starting with the name before I get on to what it means, I have a confession. I was looking for Rich Conversations as a URL and I came to look for it and of course it was already taken. So I thought, oh well, I'll just go for the superlative, which makes me sound a bit like Donald Trump, but honestly, that's where
To be honest, though, like the same thing happened to me with 23 wise words. Did I tell you this before, where I wanted wise words and that didn't, obviously had already been taken. And I was like, well, my son was born on the 23rd of August, so I'll just whack the number 23 in front of it. And that was it. I think people can overthink business names, don't you?
Yes, and I love 23 because it's immediately going, oh,
Yeah.
what's it?
Yeah.
23,
Yeah.
interesting.
People assume there's a big strategy behind it. Yeah.
Well, it will grow as your son grows, so
Yeah.
that's all
Yeah.
good. Yeah, so back to the superlative.
Yeah.
So fantastically, the superlative was there. And it came actually from the fact that when I started my business 15 years ago, I was trying to do everything as an ex-BBC journalist. So I'd worked at the BBC for nearly 25 years. And I did a lot of things that journalists do. I tried PR and media training and that sort of thing.
Mm.
Only I niched up on the basis that the thread through my career before then had been having conversations with people,
Yeah.
loving it, loving seeing their nerves of a live studio environment suddenly turn into enthusiasm when they were talking about their business or their career.
Yeah.
So that interviewing, I applied to what are now the richest conversations. And what that means is you can have a short conversation with somebody, could be a client or a colleague or an influencer,
Mm.
15 minutes. If you use live broadcasting techniques to get them to feel at ease, and then really listen to get them to open up, you can go from naught to 60,
Yeah.
i.e. their relaxed selves, really quickly
Yeah.
and get content that is amazing. So
I
that's what the
love
richest conversations
I
is.
love it. And I think what's so brilliant about it as well is that, and I think we've said this before, in that, like, we have these conversations all the time. It's not just people who interview for a living or people who, like, it can be your home life, it can be a conversation, trying to get a rich conversation from, we just talked about myself. My son's coming home from school and I want to know about his day. Like, how can I speak to him in a way that gets a rich conversation going and makes him feel at ease? And so it can be something like that, right through to interviewing for a new employee, or this kind of thing. Like, I interview for in my work, the voice of customer. So I interview clients and find out, what's going on in their head when they use products and things. So there's so many different ways this can be applied, and that is what I love. And I just think it's such an art and such a skill that everybody could use. Do you find that as you talk to people that they actually say, do you know what, I applied this here and I didn't think about it before?
Well, actually, you opened my eyes to actually the fact that people are having these rich conversations, question and answer conversations all the time. And I hadn't realized that until you said it, which is an illustration of how great conversations are,
Yeah.
because suddenly someone says something. And even if you've been doing your expertise for 10 years or 20 years,
Yeah.
the very fact that another human being is coming in with their perspective suddenly takes you on a tangent, and suddenly you get a new perspective on what you do.
Yeah.
And that's what I call rich, because in content terms, often you need that angle to explain what you do, otherwise you get stale, or that angle might reach a new member of a different audience. So yeah, amazing thing. It does. You just have to be aware of it.
Yes, that's it. It's so powerful. So I have two questions. I'm going to ask this one first. Who's the wisest person that you've ever interviewed, in your opinion?
Oh, so I'm going to cheat a little bit here, because I didn't interview her, but I was part of programming that had her on as a guest, and
Right.
that was part of my BBC career. Can I cheat? Is that okay?
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Okay. I wish I had interviewed her. So I helped launch some digital programming for youngsters, 9 to 11-year-olds on the BBC, and it was radio.
Yep.
And it included lots of different authors that came on. And one of them was Jacqueline Wilson. And if you happen to have a daughter, but even if you have a son,
Yeah.
you can probably Jacqueline Wilson. She has written more than 100 books
Yeah.
that explore every tricky issue that will ever face a young child growing into teenagerdom.
Yeah.
So it could be divorce, or it could be mental illness, or it could be just general sleepover quibbles. You know, are
Right.
you in this friendship
Yeah.
group or are you out of it?
Yeah.
So she is just brilliant at putting herself into the heads of families, children, adults, and through those characters, exploring some of the most taxing issues that you come across as a child, but doing it as a nuanced way. So
Yeah.
the baddie, the really bullying girl in a particular friendship group, you suddenly understand what's making her feel so aggressive towards all the other kids. And I think that's really wise, that ability to put yourself into the lives, get under the skin of people who may be very different to you, create characters that speak and act in a really realistic way. And that's what Jacqueline Wilson is really well known for, isn't it? Realism in an age of Harry Potter and other fantasy novels. You know, she stands out like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's somebody who stands out. And at 80, I think she's still writing. It's like a book a year or 2 books a year.
Wow.
Yes. But I think with any wise person, I suppose this is my philosophy and it probably underpins conversations, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
I think that wisdom is that ability to listen to other people. So even as she was being interviewed, and she was being interviewed by a group of 9 to 11-year-olds, so she was really listening intently.
Yeah.
And not taking anything for granted and appreciating what they were saying. And I think it came out across as someone who's humble and ready to be open to people's perspectives, however challenging they may be. So, yes, she is very well known, but she came across as really approachable
Yeah.
and yeah, humble, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true as well. The art of the listening as well as the talking. I think when you hear the word conversations, you think of the words that people are saying and, you know, how you're talking and what you're saying. You don't necessarily think of the other side of it, which is the not passive, the active listening side, where you are taking it in, and that's a huge part of the conversation as well. But it's almost the part that gets skipped over. So, what are your tips for listening well?
So, I think when it comes to interviewing somebody, it's like removing all distractions. So it's making it's the obvious things, making sure your phone is off, making sure that you've got what I call a buffer zone before you sit down to talk to somebody. You just move your headspace out of the previous meeting and get into the headspace, which means you can just really settle in, like literally settle in.
Yeah.
Stick a microphone.
Unless you're wearing a headset, Mike.
No. Just really just focus on them.
Yeah.
And because I think distractions, if the phone goes off, there's the phone going off, but then it's that subsequent, oh, the phone's gone off.
Yeah.
You lose the thread.
Yeah.
And they, as your interviewee, suddenly think, oh, okay, not professional, not listening to me.
Yeah.
Am I saying anything of value? Whereas if the reverse happens and you're settling in and you go, that's fascinating. So you're referring back and you're reacting to people and nodding. You know for yourself, don't you? If someone's really invested, giving you their whole attention, and obviously analysing what you're saying, just as you're doing with me, then I suddenly think, oh, you're not wandering off and looking at your phone. That's great.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, that's listening, showing you're listening.
You're listening. It's interesting actually, before this, so I had a call which finished 15 minutes before our call, and you're so right. I knew I got up, I needed to get into a different space. I moved around, moved my body. I kind of shifted mentally and physically into what I knew we were going to have this conversation now. And then when I sat back down, it was like what had just happened, even though it had only finished, 15, 20 minutes ago. I'd removed all that from my brain as much as possible. Do you do that? So do you make sure in between calls and in between meetings that do you do something physically, or how do you make sure that you switch your brain over.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant thing to do. I do try and literally have that buffer zone. I usually get up and make a cup of tea because
Yeah.
I'm working on my own. So
Yeah.
it's just that ceremonial putting the kettle on. It's brainless, but it's just allowing what happened before to bed down. And then it's a little buffer before I start the new thing.
Yeah.
Or going out for a quick walk. There's nothing like fresh air or
Yes.
driving rain.
Yes.
As we are
I
in
was going to say, looking out the window now.
If it's a big interview, I really try to go to bed early. So it is like preparing for a live broadcast.
Yeah.
It's like, because all that matters is you're alert, you're agile, you're there in the moment.
Yeah.
But if you can be rested,
Yeah.
if you know you're a morning person, I try and have an interview the morning if possible.
Right.
Obviously, if a client is in America, that ain't going to happen.
Yes.
Want to be rested and probably eat. So
Yeah.
like an athlete, not is that preparation of, okay, it's the moment.
Yeah.
That's going to make me agile and alert.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. That's it. And the eating side, and yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah, because it's a rumbling tummy is another distraction.
Yeah, that is a big, and you think, oh no, can everyone hear that? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to talk a little bit more about wise words and wisdom and things that you run your life and business by, I suppose. So has there been a moment this year, let's say we're halfway through the year now, right? So has there been a point in the first half of 2026 where you've said yes to something that you're really either proud you did, or has really, what you said yes to has surprised you in a way you didn't think it would? Has there been an obvious wise yes for you yet this year?
So it may surprise you, because it often does surprise people, because my background's in radio. People go, one, Randy, you should do a podcast. I never have done.
Yeah.
Two, Randy, you should be on podcasts.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't do that much either. And for the first time this year, I was on quite a long podcast, and it's very rare that I go on one. And I don't know why I don't, because I really feel I can share what I love doing.
Yeah.
And I was really glad I did it, because it really made me think what it's like to be an interviewee. Because, of course, I do so many interviews.
Yes.
Oh, I train people on how to do interviews, and I tell them, this is how you prepare your interviewee, and they may be nervous and they may think they haven't got anything to say,
Yeah.
and they want a long list of questions. Well, guess what happened to me? And this is why I'm so glad I'm that, and I'm really glad I'm doing this one as well, is I immediately thought, have I got anything interesting to say? And then I felt viscerally what I realise a lot of interviewees feel. And then I thought, oh, am I going to get a list of questions?
Yeah.
And I had to give myself the same pep talk that I give interviewees, which is, if you've built your career or your business around an expertise or a skill, trust me, you will be able to share that knowledge in an inspiring way, because, you're doing it for years. But people don't understand what you do, rocket science.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe they won't find me fascinating, but there you are. Look, again, it's that, and that I found really useful. I was like, oh, okay, this is a really useful reminder that this is how the person on the other side feels. And I guess it might be the same with you, voice to the customer.
Yeah.
What the nearest you can get, short of filling yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you have a conversation with them, but you can't feel what they're feeling.
Yeah.
So, I'm really glad I did that.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I continue to do that.
Yeah.
Lovely conversations, but it's really teaching me something.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think lots of people shy away from talking about their expertise, because you know this subject so well. You're so used to it. You talk about it in day out, but other people don't. And I was actually having this conversation earlier this week with a lady I met up with, who my kind of thing with what I do is basing everything around behavioral psychology, and hers was too. So my behavioral psychology is executed in words and writing, so I layer in behavioral psychology to my copy, and hers was layering it into product. So she works with SaaS businesses and deals on the product side, the behavioral psychology and the product side. And we were talking about, she was like, it's so amazing going into these businesses and saying something, or telling them to make this tweak, which to you is like so obvious, but to them it's like, they would have never thought of it. Do you know, like shifting the order of pricing tiers on your pricing page, and just little things, little cognitive biases or behavioral psychology techniques that we know so well, but going and saying to somebody else is like, of course they wouldn't have thought of it. That's not their field of expertise. So I think you're so right in that people are scared to share what they know because they think they're teaching people to suck eggs. They're like, well, obviously that's obvious, but it's so not. And it's interesting that that carries across to lots of different industries. Probably everyone listening to this has expertise and skills to share that they think everybody knows, but is not actually the case.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also there's that whole thing of why you do what you do. You know, why does it matter to you?
Yeah.
So there's one thing about the skills that you're sharing, as you say, that little granular detail that's going to make all the difference to somebody and blow their mind.
Yes, that's it.
But there's also the heart, the human bit, like, this is why it matters for me to share this knowledge. And that can be really powerful as well.
Yeah.
You know, and people again feel, ooh, that's touchy-feely. Is that really professional? And I would say, yes, absolutely. It's showing that you care and you want to do a good job.
Yeah.
You know, you're using your expertise for a real purpose.
That's it. And I think that can be a big way of stopping that mental block for people who don't like recording online or sharing things online on socials about their kind of expertise and things. It's like reframing it and thinking it's not about you. It's not about your fear of being out there. Who can you help? Who needs to hear what you've got to say? You could really change someone's life. You could really change someone's business by posting that video or writing that caption and putting yourself out there. And I always find like reframing it to think it's not about me helps in those scenarios, you know, to actually put yourself out there a little bit.
Yeah, I remember writing a newsletter say, just because obviously I come from the BBC where you were never meant to sell. So I'd interview business people because they had the expertise. You know, I knew they'd be really good on their topic, whether it was being an electrician or a hairdresser, whatever it was. But of course, you know, when they started plugging the name of their business, I always had to go, well, of course, there are other electricians and hairdressers on the high street. So when I came to selling myself, I was almost tempted to go, of course, you know, there are other big or journalists on the high street. And then I flipped it and went, okay, replace the word selling with helping.
Yeah.
That's it, you know. And I remember writing that. So many people wrote back to say, it's so useful. But it's what you're saying, isn't it?
100%.
Just helping people.
Yeah.
Deprive them of your help.
Okay, so I've got another wise words question. We're coming up to time, but I've got another question about wise words. So if you could have a dream board of advisors, let's say, of people that you could go to ask, you know, get their wisdom on anything from life to business to relationships to health, anything it is, who would you have as your dream board of advisors?
Yes, so I was thinking about this. I mean, I think the key person I'd have, and there may be several of them, is Bill Bailey, the very niche comedian.
Yeah.
So if you don't know Bill Bailey, and there's, I remember he was quoted in an article saying, go down the street, ask 4 people about Bill Bailey, and the first one will go, I love him. The other 3 will go, who? Yeah. Who is he? He is quite, but he is somebody who has that sense of ridiculous. And I remember seeing him doing a gig at Park Troll where he focused on August's catalogue and described it as the laminated book of dreams.
Yeah, I remember that.
Why was it laminated? It would catch tears of joy. You could, and then you quickly fill in the little form. And it is that sense of ridiculous where you have something very mundane and he elevates it to the status of, I don't know, a medieval illustrated script, you know, and he's pouring over it. Also his musicality, so that amazing combination of pretending he was craft out, which is, you know, quite a word they take from the 1980s.
Yeah.
Hokey cokey. And it's this ridiculous robotic dance with one of the classic tunes that you know from your childhood.
Yeah.
Nation. And I think I'd like Bill on my characters because it's that ability to think completely out of the box.
Yeah.
In fact, just chuck the book away.
Yeah.
Combine different ideas. And probably not giving me any answers, but pushing me to think about things in a completely different way by combining useful with the or whatever it is, whatever position he's doing. I mean, I'd probably be calling it his observational wit.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I love is sense of humour.
Yeah.
So he's slightly more acerbic.
Yeah.
You know, the combination of the ridiculous and the acerbic would be quite good. So yeah, I'd probably fill my board with people like that.
That made you laugh.
Made me laugh for starters. Have a bit of a musical interlude with Bill, and then Billy. Maybe they all have to be called Bill or Billy as well, and just make me think in a different way. So not always. I suppose Billy Connolly would challenge me, you know, keep pushing me, and Bill Bailey would just make me think in a completely new way. So that's my very small board.
That's brilliant.
Jacqueline Wilson along too for the ride, but yeah.
That's brilliant. I wouldn't have, if you'd asked me that and I had to guess, I would have never in a million years guessed those two or three people. So I think that's brilliant. That's so cool. I love Bill Bailey as well. My son's actually called Billy Connolly.
Oh, well, he's got to join the board as well. So, because, you know, you need the next generation. Truly, though, actually, you probably do need somebody who's under 11 years of age. I don't know how old your son is.
7.
Now.
Yeah, he doesn't have a clue. That's why when we were naming him, we were kind of like, can we do it to him? And we were like, well, no. Obviously, anyone you say we called him William because we were like, if he really hates us for calling him Billy Connolly when he's older, he can just go back to William. But no one his age has a clue, obviously, but anyone at of our generation who's like, oh yeah, Billy Connolly.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, he's on the board too.
You don't want him advising you on your life, oh, definitely not. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. So if someone wants to get in touch with you, where's the best place to find you?
Well, my website is therichestconversations.com, but also I do post sporadically on LinkedIn. So again, you can find me, Miranda, at the Richest Conversations on LinkedIn, and it'd be lovely to connect. I'm always open to having a chat, you know, just being a sounding board. It's all good.
Yeah, I love your LinkedIn content. I think it's brilliant. It's full of tips. It's full of really good advice. It's well thought out, you know, in amongst a lot of rubbish out there on LinkedIn. Can I say that? But I look forward to your posts, and I'm not just saying that I do. So I think,
thank you.
Definitely worth a follow. All right. Well, thank you so much. Speak soon.
It's a pleasure. Totally.
Bye.
Bye.
Brilliant. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Wise Words Behind the Wins. Today I am joined by Miranda Birch from the Richest Conversations, which, first of all, I love the business name. I think that's such a cool. It's so simple yet so nice the way you've come up with that name. So I love that name. Let's talk about that as well. And yeah, I want to just hear about what the Richest Conversations is, who you work with, and how you help people.
Thank you. I'm really glad you like the name. So in all honesty, I was looking for Rich Conversations as a URL, and of course it was already taken. So I thought, well, okay, I'll just go for the big ones, superlative. No. So
Yeah, brilliant.
yeah, I did. So what it actually means is that you have short chats, maybe with a client or a colleague, and you do it in what I call a live broadcasting way, because that's my background.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to stop. The echo's really bad. You know what?
Have you got the echo on your side?
Yes. So look, I'm so sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Let me stop.
How bizarre is that? No,